Welcome back. This is 26.2 at 50, where I talk about my journey to train for and run the Portland Marathon this year. Today is September 13th. It's a Saturday, and I am reaching the end of, week 15 of my 18-week training plan for this race. So we are really getting into the last weeks now, and it's exciting. So I know I talked in my last video about running the local half marathon last weekend as kind of a tune-up race for the big day, and I did that. It went great. So here's my medal. I did finish, and I actually finished in a personal record time, which felt pretty good. I was an hour 52 and 16 seconds. So that was 6 seconds faster than my previous personal record, which was earlier in the year, actually. With the personal record pace, I was kind of hoping that I would place in my age division. Didn't quite make it. I finished 5th in my age division, so I do not have a second fancier medal to show you. But, I went out a bit fast. I know I talked in the last video about trying to make sure I didn't go too hard in the half marathon, just knowing that, this is not the main event, right? The main event is 3 weeks from now. So, I went a little bit too hard. I was definitely keeping an eye on my time and my pace. And, when I saw, looking at my GPS watch, whenever I saw I was kind of getting below like 8.5 minute miles, it's like, okay, slow it down, Tony. I don't need to go that fast. But I still went pretty fast. Like I said, I finished with a really good time, and for the most part, feeling good. During the race, like at about mile 12, I had like kind of a little stitch or cramp in my side. So I was almost done at that point. So I kind of just ran through it. It didn't feel great, but it's one of these things like I want to finish well, and I'm not injured. It's just like a stitch in my side, so I just kind of powered through it. But otherwise, I've been feeling good this week. I've felt like a few sort of little aches and pains. That's just, I think they're probably inevitable when you run 13 miles at such a fast pace, that you're going to feel some of that. Looking back, I kind of switched things around in my training plan. Like the training plan I'm following actually called for running the half marathon earlier in the plan, and I can maybe kind of see how that was a good idea. But, this was like a really local race. Like it was in my neighborhood, so it kind of fit well with my training and my lifestyle to run it. So, what's done is done. But anyway, week 15. So this has been a busy week. This is kind of going to be my last really busy training week of the plan, really. So I ran 5 miles Tuesday, 8 Wednesday, 5 Thursday, and then this morning, Saturday, I did another 5 at my race pace. And those runs felt good. Tomorrow, I'm going to be running 20. That's going to be my last really long run before the race. So this is going to be, a total of 43 miles this week. But thankfully, after this week, it does start to taper down pretty significantly, just to kind of give my body a bit of a break, before the race. So I'll be running 32 total miles next week, week 16. My long run is just going to be 12, so a lot shorter than tomorrow. And then week 17 is just 24 miles total, and the long one is 8. And then on the last week, I'll just be doing 3 short runs during the week. No Saturday run because, week 18, the Sunday long run is the big one. So, I enjoyed the half marathon experience this past weekend, and it was good to be back in a race atmosphere, and just the whole thing, the kind of the vibe of it, having people cheering you while you're running. It's great because doing an 18-week training program, there are a lot of runs that they're really long, and you're running a ton, and it can just turn into a grind. So having an atmosphere that's like a little bit more festive. Like it's a nice way to break things up. But it was also a good way to kind of see how far I've come with all of the training and the kind of the discipline around just my diet, just getting a sense of how far I've really come. So I ran this race last year, and so in addition to being a personal record last week, like my time was 25 minutes faster than I did the same race a year ago. So there is a good like progress benchmark for me, which makes me feel better going into my second marathon ever. That I'm more confident that I'll be better prepared than I was back in 2022, and that I'll have a better experience, because that race is getting close now. And in the back of my mind, I am kind of thinking back to 2022 and how difficult that experience was in some respects. Like, I know I've talked about this in other videos, but it was for the first like 17, 18 miles, I was feeling pretty good. And the last like 9 miles or so, I just absolutely hit a wall, like physically. And I was just, I had like injury troubles. Took me 5.5 hours to finish. I lost a toenail a little bit later, but I'm feeling, I guess, as confident as I can be that I will have a better experience this time around. And that's, I guess, kind of what I wanted to talk about in this video, is sort of like running a marathon, even for someone who has experience with, 10Ks or even half marathons. Like, running a marathon is such a different animal. And you can watch videos like this, you can talk to marathoners, you can read stuff, but to really understand what the experience is like, it's one of these things you just kind of have to do it once to really know what it's about. And so I think back to my training and my preparation and my race day in 2022, and it's like there's a lot of stuff I wish I had known then that I definitely know now, and that's why I've kind of approached it so much differently this time around. So basically this video is just going to be like things I wish I had known before that race in 2022. So the first one is keep those toenails clipped short. I do not want to lose another toenail. And it's, the reality is, like, if you're running 26 miles at, a good pace, like blistering issues and just your feet swelling, like it is inevitable. Like, it's gonna happen. So keeping the nails clipped real short is just, it's the best thing you could do to just minimize like what might happen to your toes and your toenails during that race. So definitely step one. Step two definitely would be the importance of nutrition, which I didn't really appreciate at all before I ran that first race. So, and this is like both in the race and what you do at home. So at home, if I remember correctly, I did have like the kind of stereotypical big pasta dinner before the marathon, like the night before. And that's fine, but you kind of have to do more than that. Like, you have to, like, really the whole week before the race, you have to really be mindful about like getting a lot of good carbs into your body, so that like there's plenty of fuel kind of in your muscles for you to just burn off during a race like that. So I'm definitely going to be more on top of that than I was last time. And then in the race, you have to, as I've said, you do have to like experiment to figure out like what's going to work for your stomach. Like, you got to be able to feel good while taking in nutrition during a race, because running can be really hard on your stomach. But in 2022, I had just water. I had a Camelback, but it was just water in it. And I didn't have any like gels or anything. And I do think a big part of what happened to me in that race was just physically completely hitting the wall. Like, my body just completely ran out of fuel during that race. So I'm going to be way more prepared this time, just with, like my Camelback, I'll have like sports drink and electrolytes like mixed in before the race. And I'll have, plenty of gels, and I've, experimented during my long runs to figure out like, okay, what gels out there are good on my stomach. Like I found gels that are honey sweetened rather than sugar sweetened, and the honey is definitely like easier on my stomach. So I will be on top of the details as far as nutrition. Another thing that I wish I'd known was the importance of knowing your pace while you're training, and training close to the pace that you want to run. So like I went into that first race thinking like 4.5 hours, like that'll be a good time for my first ever marathon. But I didn't have any sort of like GPS watch or any way of tracking my pace like while I was training. So I'm doing all these training runs by myself, and my mindset at the time was like, I just need to cover the distance and then I'll be okay. But really you need to, if you get into the race and you're running a lot faster than the pace you've been training for, like, you're gonna just totally like hit the wall again. So I've been much more on top of that this time around, just with like having the GPS watch every single time I go out for a training run, and just being sure that I'm going at the right pace, at the target pace, to so that my body is ready to finish this race in 4 hours. Another thing I wish I'd known before that first marathon is just it relates to kind of knowing how big a stretch it is from a half marathon, and I guess it's kind of the importance of sort of having your mindset and your mental game together for that race. So because I mean, part of knowing, part of it is pace, like part of it is just kind of staying within yourself physically and being okay staying within yourself physically, like not going out too hard. But another big part of it is your mindset around like what you're feeling physically during a race. Like, not sure totally how to have this discussion, but I did want to bring it up. So like, as I've said on some other videos, like I am not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare provider, like this is not medical advice. You should absolutely listen to your body and know your body and be safe. Okay, so not medical advice here, but if you're for a distance runner, something you kind of discover is that like not all pain is real, and like your mind can play tricks on you when you're putting your body under a huge amount of stress like this. So it's kind of, I guess the analogy would be like, if you go to the gym and you lift a lot of weights, like, the next day or two, you're really sore, and you're not hurt, you're just sore. It doesn't feel good, but you're not hurt. So that's like one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum, of course, is like you're actually injured and you're injured, but like there is this like gray area in the middle. So to give an example of that, so the half marathon I ran in April. So I'm running at at a good pace, and about halfway through the race, I start to feel kind of a twinge in my left calf muscle. Like it's not like a straight up like pull like a Charlie horse or something, but I'm just like, it's like, okay, that doesn't feel good. But mentally, I just kind of stayed within myself. I was like, okay, I'll just keep going here. Like I'm running at a good pace. I don't need to go any faster than I'm running. Like I'm doing just fine. And right now it's feeling okay. Like I can still run. It's not that bad. And I just kind of kept going, and it just sort of went away. So this happens all the time when you're like, especially like during an 18-week training program. Like this is going to happen to you. Like you'll have little aches and pains that just don't turn out to be real. So for running a race and your mindset during the race, like you have to be aware of this, and like I said, it's a tough conversation to have. Like obviously if you're hurt, don't run through it, but you are probably going to feel some pain, some extreme discomfort if you're running 26 miles, and it's just like on a certain level, you have to kind of push through, like, kind of really self-talk, just tell yourself it's going to be okay, talk yourself through it. Don't, like, have a reaction to it that is not helpful for you finishing the race. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. But yeah, not all pain is real. Because yeah, like I said, that half marathon earlier in the year, like, I had that pain, but, like, it just sort of went away in the last few miles, and, like, I felt fine after the race. Like, that calf didn't, like, tighten up. I wasn't, like, having trouble walking or anything. It was just like, yeah, your mind just sometimes plays little tricks on you when your body is, like, severely under stress. So that's all I've got. I hope this was helpful. I really appreciate you all watching, and feel free to leave me a comment. Would love it if you'd subscribe. But otherwise, wish me luck out there in these last few weeks, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.